Hi everyone, Scrappy Kathy here with Mixed Media Mayhem. And mayhem it is. This week, the three elements that we need to include are, it has to be multicolor. Well, that's not hard for me because I generally feel that the more colors the better, and so we're going to have multicolor. They may not be as bright and vivid as the colors I normally use, and that's being driven by the background paper that I've chosen. And speaking of background, it has to be a pattern paper background. So I needed a pattern paper that I was comfortable doing mixed media on. So I picked this one, and it's from my Scrap Backwards kit, which is filled with elements with leftovers from previous Mind the Scrap kits. So this came in a Mind the Scrap kit, and it's by Scrapaholics, and it's a paper brand I've never known or had before. And it's a U.S. company, and they're from Racine, Wisconsin. The reason I chose it is because the paper is thick, very, very thick, thicker than cardstock usually is. So it should take some wet mixed media. And it has something of a coating on it. So I might get some interesting effects there. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, and I have to use ink. So I'm going to use a couple different, 3 different kinds of ink. I'm going to start with Distress Oxide ink. And I'm going to color up some of these flowers. I want to enhance and pop the pinks. And let's see, let me spray this in here. I'm going to get my brush wet and just put it directly on the ink pad, and then kind of just go in where the pink is already a little bit dark, and kind of run with that. This is kind of this flower has kind of a brownish look, and Helen Parker and many of the others out there know that I'm not a brown or beige kind of person. So I'm just going to kind of brighten that up a bit, and I'm going to go here and add some accents to these. And I'm just going to do it with the upper flowers to that degree. I'll put a few bits down here, but just as these flowers down here seem to be a little bit different palette from the ones up there, I will adjust my inking on them similarly. Okay, now I'm going to switch. I'm going to kind of rinse my paintbrush out a bit, because I want to use them, put my photos out of the way. The photos are from the road trip that I took with Adam when we were coming back from the cruise, and there were lots of sites along the way that we stopped by. I've got some sort of a flying insect. I'm doing a little yellow again, just to kind of pop and brighten things up. But I'm not going to use a lot. This is kind of going to give me the, I'm going to reinforce the multicolor look, and I'm going to use a couple yellow accents there. Just kind of repainting the flowers very, very lightly. Kind of giving them kind of a peachy color. And I put lots of water on the ones that I want the color to be very light and watered down. Okay, now I think that's all I'm going to do there. And I want to get my paper towel and dry those. They probably are dry enough. Now I'm going to take a piece of packaging and I'm going to spray with this Mr. Huey color called Cameo. And I will tell you right now that over the years, this Cameo has turned a bit kind of, I don't know, it's not a cameo color. You can see it's kind of a, I don't know, it's sort of an orange. And I'm gonna just kind of add it there, and I'm going to take some of the ink that was on this thing and kind of get that on there too. There's no point in wasting it. And now I'm going to add a million splatters of this, it's gloss spray, Dina Wakley's gloss spray, and it's a kind of an ink with a lot of pigment in it. And what I'm going to try to do is kind of really tone down some of these colors. And I'm going to get, you see, I'm getting it kind of to the right and to the left of where the photos are going to go, which will be kind of right there in the middle. And I think there are, I had to kind of move the bottle a little when I tried to take the lid off, the top off, and when I did that, it caused some bubbling. So I'm going to kind of do this and this, and I can see that the paper is buckling, but it'll be fine. Oops, some of my sequins came out of my holder. I'm going to put them back in because those are the sequins I'm using for this page. They are from a combination of Deep Rose C and All American. I think it's mostly Deep Rose C in there. Okay, I'm going to assume that that is done. And now we'll start putting the page together, and it should go quickly. I have matted the photos in, first of all, kind of a pale aqua, then a gray and white polka dot, and then at the ends of each I've put a strip of this striped paper that was from a 6x6 pad that was in the kit, and I don't think I have it handy. Here I do. This is part of it. Where's the part that tells me whose it is? It looks like Pink Fresh, doesn't it? So I'm not sure if it is or not, but it looks like it. So now I'm going to put these on here. I want this, nah, I guess I want them both kind of at slight angles. Okay, and I have this, which was a gift from Sarah at Hey Little Magpie, and it's a JD 3D piece that says Wander to Discover, and it's kind of a neutral green, I'd say. It doesn't match any of the greens anywhere, except maybe it's in some of those trees, but I think it's nice. I'm doing some florals from some various ephemera packs that came with kits. I'm reasonably certain that's a vintage garden something or other from Simple Stories. And these look like they might be Heidi Swapp-ish. So we'll go with that. I've separated them all, used most of the sets, each of the sets, and I just kind of threw them all in together. Okay, there. I've got this little tiny yellow flower here that I thought I'd put there. And then this. You know what? I'm gonna put, I need something there now. So I'm gonna put this up here where the cut stem is. I meant to put this the other way around, but I rather like it that way. So I'm gonna leave it. And that pulled up some of the wet paper there, so I'm gonna have to cover that up. But I'm gonna do this there and let this, maybe I'll let this come right there. That works. And I'll cover that spot. And then I've got this one, which is kind of an odd, it's a white leaf that has a craft colored border, but it just kind of blends in with the look we have going on here. And then I have this butterfly, which has a wing cut off, so I just kind of have to hide it back here. And we've made something of a little a little scene. And I've got a place for a couple of flare. I've got this kind of pink dotted with gold. Let's see if I can squeeze it down. I'm going to put it here, and then I will put this here and let it be kind of partly resting on that flare. And then I have another one that's mostly pink-ish, pink and copper, that I thought might be pretty. Okay, I need that back on there, and the glue is still wet and it's on a dot, so I'm gonna put this right here, and then that flower can kind of partly rest on the flare. There we go. I'm gonna move this around so that I can adjust this. I want to get it so that it's not on top of this leaf, because I want the leaf to kind of bend up towards it. And that seems to be working. There we go. Okay, so I've got those two there, and I have another one that has kind of the copper, and the colors are almost like purple and aqua, and this might be nice right in here. There we go. And I have this butterfly, which is just black and white, but couldn't I color it up? Maybe. I could do a yellow, yellow color up at the top. I think this came on a little bit too strong there, but maybe I can kind of blend it in a bit. Whoops. Now let's do this. By the way, is Warwick Castle. It's spelled like Americans would want to call it Warwick, but it's, I'm sure, pronounced Warwick. And then let me get some water there and kind of bring that out. And let me get some pink and bring it kind of streaking across there. All right, now I'm gonna call that done, and I'll put a piece of foam underneath it and have it kind of flying into that castle. We were driving from Southampton to Manchester, and along the way there was Downton Abbey and Winchester Cathedral and Stratford-upon-Avon, Warwick Castle, and just a whole bunch of places that each one of them would have been a major sightseeing draw to, you know, people interested in the country and its history. And they were just along the road. So it was amazing. Okay, I'm going to do a few random sprinkles of sequins. And I'm going to get these little flowers right there. Not, and we can kind of see, it's not obvious, I hope anyway. To me, it kind of, I want to have some cool colors in here as well, kind of to explain this. Like I said, I think with all of the other surroundings, I think it's going to be okay. And I have one more place for a small sequin. And I'll go ahead and do another flower right there. And I want to do a couple here, just 3 maybe. And I'm going to do a big clear one right there. I'm going to take this really wine red there. And I'll take this little turquoisey one and put it right there. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. I really like how the flowers came out. I ought to think about doing that more often when I'm not crazy about the color palette of a page. When there's maybe a little, and generally those will be the ones that are easy to change in a creamy beigey kind of look like this. But just a little bit of ink used as watercolor. And this looks like a much different piece of paper. Okay, and I've got a navy blue one, which it's not the same color as this, but it's the same intensity. It's the same value, I guess it's called. And having that over here somewhat balances it. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Here. And let me check the list. I need florals, metal. The metal is gonna have to be these sequins. Or sequins, listen to me. These staples right there. Let me curl that up so you can actually see the staples. I want to be sure that the scorekeeper for Team 1, the scorekeeper for the Mind the Scrap Challenge, can see all the points that I'm claiming. Okay, so florals, metal, hearts. Not a problem. I keep a little box of hearts, 2 photos, and some doodling. And so what I think I'm going to do, I'm hoping that the flowers are dry enough that they'll take a little bit of ink doodling in white ink. So we'll see. Okay, and then I'm gonna do that and maybe come around here. Oh, and the dryer is yelling at me that my clothes are dry, but I'd rather do this than fold clothes, right? And let's go this. I was going to do this in black ink, but I'm glad that I, at the last minute, decided to go with white. Okay, and then I'm going to redo something there. I'll bring that down. And then just for the heck of it, I'm going to do a leaf sprig. Kind of right here, in case tracing on a flower doesn't count as doodling. I didn't really think of that. Because I'm really just going over. So I'll have that there, and then maybe I'll do another one over here in this area where it might be a little bit more visible. And then you're probably getting tired of seeing these as my doodles, but when they seem appropriate, and my white ink pen is running out of ink. So it's very light. Okay, so I think I'm done. Thank you for watching. Let's see, doodling 2+ photos, hearts. I don't have any hearts on here. Let's do there's some really kind of shiny, translucent almost hearts, and I want, it's okay if we go with just one, but I kind of want to do my overlapping heart look. And I have not peeled the backing off of this, or have I? Yes, I have. Okay, so I'm going to put the glue on this side because there are a couple little nicks in the shiny part. Okay, now where do I want this? I'm going to put it maybe right there on the photo, kind of under the butterfly's wing. And then I've got this little tiny guy, and I'm going to put some glue right there and set this on it. And I will let that dry before I mess with the page anymore. So that's done. I have florals, metal staples, hearts, 2 photos, and doodling. And I have not done any journaling on this. I will do that later, and it'll probably be on the back because I really don't want to cover up any of this prettiness. So thank you for watching, and go create a Mixed Media Mayhem in your craft room. It's fun once you get started and kind of figure out all kinds of different ways to use those products that you've, spent a fair chunk of money on. So, bye. See you next Friday.